If you watch Titanic, you'll know about glaciers. Last week, the world's first World Glacier Day was declared. In 2022 and 2023, all glaciated regions worldwide reported massive ice and water loss. Glaciers hold around 70% of the world's fresh water, providing it to over 2 billion people. But glaciers are disappearing at an alarming rate, and the UN General Assembly just declared 2025 the International Year of Glaciers Preservation. Welcome to Kaleidoscope, where we are positive, daring, different, and always hopeful for the future. On today's show, women in film production, mental health struggles often overlooked, and somewhere cricket meets song. Remember, Kaleidoscope is on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, and like us for more. A massive thank you to our wonderful partners on the show for being so amazing: Srilanka Live, CDB, The Daily Morning, and Amari Colombo.
She wins with CDB Wings, exclusive financial solutions for women.
Looking back at the week that was on CDB Snapshot, Sri Lanka's exports continue momentum in February, reaching $1.38 billion with 4.62% year-on-year increase. Services exports surged 24.37% year-on-year to $326 million. Sri Lanka launches its first sperm bank at Castle Street Hospital in Colombo. A rare fungus, Mutinous bambucinus, is recorded in Sri Lanka for the first time in over a century. Sri Lanka drops from 128 to 133 in the World Happiness Report this year. Finland is at number 1. A 59-year-old Indian woman successfully treks to the Mount Everest base camp by learning from YouTube videos. Once the world's ugliest animal, the blobfish, overcomes notoriety and is voted New Zealand's Fish of the Year.
You focus on your goals. We will take care of the risks. Srilanka Life.
Welcome to Srilanka Life News Capsule. In Hollywood, women film producers make up 26% of their profession, and in Bollywood, the number is about 36%. Sri Lankan cinema is still a small player in this field, and while we may not know exactly how many women producers there are in the space, there is an undeniable courage that comes with venturing into this space as a woman. Vice President of Leica Productions, Janaki Wijerathne, is on the show today on what happens behind the lens. Janaki, from a producer's perspective, what are you seeing of the film industry here?
We are lacking the quality standard of the production. That's where we lack. In terms of talent, I think we have enough and more talented people. We have amazing scriptwriters, we have amazing actresses and actors, we have even the technicians, so everything there, but it's the production quality we lack in Sri Lanka.
Are you seeing an improvement in the industry or not?
I have seen time to time, but only thing is we could not sustain that. But after Rani, there was a huge improvement. I can see, and I really feel good. I think we all should get together, work as a team, and keep the momentum going and try and sustain this.
So what would a producer look at when picking a movie that they will ensure that they will get some return?
As a producer, you have to get involved to the creation from the beginning. Then only you know what you are doing is the right thing, we are on the right track. Because I'm an art lover. If I can't enjoy my movie, how would the audience enjoy, right? So I have to think, okay, from the technical side, from the technical specification, from top to bottom, I got involved. In fact, I have given the technical specification to DOP. This is what I need. I want you to use this camera. I want you to use this sound recording. So everything I have given him because I didn't want to compromise the standard.
So on that note, how much of input and how much responsibility would a producer have in the final output of the film without encroaching on the director's area?
Creation is definitely belongs to the director, but to make sure he's doing a quality standard product, I think it's producer's responsibility, because if you are trying to cut down the budget and if you are trying to save, then I don't think we can get a good outcome. So that where I thought, no, I don't care about the budget. I want to make sure that will show on the screen the standard, right? With that, I think we can't go wrong.
So Leica Productions has been working in India, 40 films or so, and this is your first in Sri Lanka. When you look at both countries, what challenges do film producers have?
Well, because our market is very small. When you invest a huge amount, huge budget, that was a risk. But I thought, no, we will take that risk, because if we don't, then who else, right? We are a company, so I think we should. And I thought, if you do something with good intention, nothing can go wrong, right? That was my first idea. So we went for it, and we can see the results. It's doing so well.
Where would you like to see Sri Lanka's film industry from a producer's point of view?
I think we can definitely match up with Hollywood. I mean, Bollywood is huge, the market is huge, but still we can match up with Hollywood in terms of the standard. And then there is a market potential.
And let's take a peek at this week's markets. At the Colombo Stock Exchange, the Asia Price Index stabilized with sporadic buying, even as average daily turnover levels dropped and investors seemed to lose interest. An unexpected drop in US crude oil inventories saw oil prices move up to the $73 per barrel levels. Meanwhile, state-owned Oil and Natural Gas Corporation Limited, the biggest oil and gas explorer and producer in India, plans to diversify in refining, petrochemicals, LNG trading and renewable energy as it expects lower oil prices amid a looming crude supply glut. Gold continued to hold on to record high prices above $3,000 per ounce as US consumer confidence hit a 4-year low, boosting fears of stagflation and increasing demand for safe haven assets. One man's trash might be another man's treasure, but these young stars are engaging in sustainable fashion like never before. At Junk Couture, 12 to 19-year-olds compete to win a grand prize by designing clothes using recycled items. She is turning her personal pain into power. Eashtha Dediwela, who's currently reading for her master's at Harvard, just released her book, Like No Other, because no two people are alike. This is an epistolary novel detailing her journey with depression and anxiety and prioritizing her mental health in a country that barely acknowledges its existence. Eashtha is with me in the studio today to lay bare some bare facts on mental health. So welcome, Eashtha. Mental illness is still a stigma in Sri Lanka, but you've gone ahead and laid it all bare in this book. Why did you do this?
Mental illness is something that a lot of people suffer silently, right? They're either afraid of being judged for it or being looked at differently. And with the recent events that has been happening, I feel like it's something very important that needs to be brought to light, especially to show people that they're not suffering alone and that there are people who have been through similar situations and have come out of it successfully.
How and when did you first have the realization that you had mental health issues and that you needed help?
I was only 12 when I was diagnosed. So a 12-year-old doesn't really have a very good idea of that they have a mental health disorder or that they are struggling. I found the transition between junior school to senior school difficult, and I refused to go to school. So that's the point in which my parents decided to seek help. They first took me to a pediatrician who referred us to a psychiatrist.
What was your biggest challenge growing up in Colombo, then moving overseas, when you were dealing with these mental health challenges?
A huge challenge was the way that mental health is looked at in this country. I was looked at like some exotic animal that was brought in from a zoo when I was going through this. And I felt like, yes, while the children had no idea because they were small too, they were growing up, they had their own challenges. I think as adults, maybe people could have been a little more empathetic and sort of looked at things differently and maybe guided their children in a different angle. So that was one of the challenges.
What triggered your mental health issues?
I'm not someone who's good with change. And the transition between junior to senior school was huge for me. I imagined it larger than it actually was. And I had terrified myself. So that is what plummeted me to a depression. But I had been showing signs like rising anger issues, wearing the same clothes every day from a couple of years back. But again, my parents, they didn't know anyone who was depressed, let alone a child who was depressed.
Are there any signs that someone may be depressed or severely anxious that we could miss?
Wearing the same clothes every day, refusing to go to school or work or whatever, staring into space, falling behind in academics. Usually when a child falls behind in academics, the parents label them as lazy or not bothered or whatever. But there might actually be a bigger reason behind that. Some of the other symptoms can be a decline in personal hygiene and self-care, lack of interest in things once enjoyable like hobbies or whatever. Some might bite their nails, they would fidget a lot, they have feelings of nausea. Sometimes that would go to the extent of blacking out and fainting. Raised heartbeat, elevated breathing. So those are some of the signs.
What do you think are the 3 main takeaways from your book?
The first thing is the need for a support system, right? A depressed person is not able to seek the support they need because they just can't. They're not motivated. It's not in them. So it's up to the support system to drag this person out and hold them up until they are able to walk on their own. And they need to be behind them in case they fall to pick up the pieces as well. So the need for an important support system is the first thing. Second thing is that you are not alone in your struggles, right? There are people who have been through similar situations and have come out of it successfully. So never feel like you're alone. Third, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. If you try hard and if you have the right support, nothing is impossible.
You need a pitch to play cricket and you need pitch to sing. The New Zealand High Commission brought those 2 pitches together, the women's cricket team and the award-winning all-women choir Soul Sounds, showcasing a uniting force of women on the field.
What is unique is this whole event, this whole concept is called pitch to pitch. Pitch because yes, when you play cricket you are on the pitch, and pitch because when you're a musician and you're a singer, you learn to pitch.
We targeted women's cricket in particular because we're a small embassy and we feel the men's game's kind of grown to a stage way beyond where we can influence, but the women's game is really coming up and developing. We saw an opportunity for a small embassy like us to make a positive contribution and help those incredibly talented women get the exposure that they deserve, and that was a big part of our thinking.
The Soul Sounds Choir crafted a song for the pitch-to-pitch concept.
Drop into a dream. Drop into a dream.
The New Zealand High Commission pushed the envelope on the creativity of pitch-to-pitch, felicitating both the cricket team and the Soul Sounds Choir.
We knew that the Sri Lankan women's team was going to be touring New Zealand, so we wanted to throw them a farewell party, a bon voyage party. And at the same time, we'd had the Soul Sounds Choir go down to New Zealand. They were a fantastic success. People loved them. They came home with 2 gold medals, and we felt we owed them a welcome home party.
And as March Madness ends and the lure of April is nigh, that's when we'll be back next week.